Hello and welcome to episode 2. We are not where we were last time. We are actually down here because I wanted to quickly go and grab these blue quests. There's 3 of them. One here, and then there's also one here, but I need to change to a crafter or gatherer to grab that one. I'm going to quickly grab those and then continue on with the main story quest. So first things first, I believe this one's for sightseeing logs. Beg your pardon, good sir. I could scarce help but notice that sightseeing log on your person. You wouldn't happen to be an adventurer my niece wrote about, would you? Ah, so it is you. Pleased to make your acquaintance. I am Babeth. I am Babeth Ironheart, Milith's aunt, and seasoned explorer. Be a dear and hand me that log of yours. Milith told me all about how she helped you embark on exploration of your own. So it's only right that I share with you some wisdom of my own. Let's see here. Can't forget to mention that. And done. You should be all set, dear. I've jotted down everything I've heard about the most remarkable vistas the realm has to offer. Of course, a few notes I've shared are naught but... Excuse me. The few notes I've shared are naught but rumours, some describing locales so fantastical that I can't believe they exist. Where's the moon? But as I always say, the true joy of exploration lies not in the destination, but in the journey. Go forth, dear, and see what sort of journeys these hints take you on. That sightseeing log of yours won't fit itself, you know. Okay. We don't need to worry about all of that. Okay, head on back to here. I know it's over there, but the load time is going to be significantly quicker than just running. This one I'm not sure about. I'm guessing it's hunts. Oh, I entirely forgot to put... I had down here bow ready. I was ready to bow at the beginning of the episode and I entirely forgot to push the button. Let's bow to this guy because... There we go. So, the hunt for specimens. The fact it has the hunt in it makes me think that it's related to the hunt. We shall see. A diminutive Gleaner is on the lookout for able-bodied adventurers. Do my eyes deceive me, or are you Nathan Skidmore? Well, as I live and breathe, it is you. Ha! I knew I'd be the first to track you down. Who's the guild ship? Who's the guild ship's top hunter now? Eh? Wait, you haven't heard of the guild ship hunts? Yeah, the hunts. They're not so different from the hunts you're familiar in Eorzea, as I understand it. I'd wager they're far more challenging, but as an adventurer of your caliber, I would never turn down a challenge, would you? No, you would not. Pray, speak to Northor at the pre-style to register your interest at your earliest convenience. And while we're down here, we'll grab that one as well. Hi, I'm Northor. Have you come to place a bounty? Words. Have you come to place a bounty on an unruly beast? By the scholar, you're Nathan? I was half convinced I'd set the others out on an impossible task, asking them to find you. The Gleaners Guild ship has begun posting hunt bills, you see, in hopes that a capable individual will take up arms and lighten our ever-increasing load. Unfortunately, capable individuals remains the sticking point. Few hailing from our fair polies are willing to take up arms, let alone able to stand against the more fearsome specimens. You, however, have the experience and the grit that we need. When I heard that you or when you had arrived on our shore, it was music to my ears. You needn't work for free, of course. We've done our research, and the reward we offer are as fine as any you'll find aboard. The currency we employ is relics of the time when Gleaner was a great deal less figurative. So you may find it somewhat esoteric, but it's as good as Gil here. Speaking of esoteric, you should note that the majority of our clients are scholars. You probably won't have heard of half of the creatures they send you after, but I find it best not to worry about that over much. Slay beasts, collect samples, try not to think about the long-term effects of touching said samples, get paid, simple, no? That being said, I wouldn't dream of throwing you in the deep end just yet. Let's have you start off with some junior marks so you can wet your feet. We will grab them just because it's free experience and it's going to be free Gleaner. Oh no! Sacks of nuts! This means that it's actually still valuable to do hunt trains in Shadowbringers. Although the Shadowbringers hunt trains are not going to get you the items you need to get materia. Yeah, let's grab these. If we see them out and about, we'll kill them. Actually, where's the render? I want to see what they've got in here. That's where they're getting the wings from. Some people already had a full stack and they just grabbed the wings while they were here. Striking dummies in here. Not that I have a house. So this is the look of the new materia. Still distinct. And that's it. So I'm not going to need much of these for the time being. It might be useful to get... That's a mammoth. It is a mammoth. You don't strike me as someone who isn't afraid to get their hands dirty. And I don't mean that as a euphemism. Are you interested in a bit of good old-fashioned hard work? But perhaps I'm getting ahead of myself. I am Greggy, one of Sharlayan's gleaners. It is our role to procure materials, samples, knowledge, and all you can imagine and more. Naturally, it would be difficult for any one person to comb the world each time our countrymen asked something of us. Thus we did form a guildship. The better to share information and see the requests we receive at the hands of those best suited to fill them. Some requests, for instance, are better assigned to those who demonstrate a certain degree of finesse and persistence. And the calluses on your hand tell me that you are one such person. I understand that you may feel some trepidation given the somewhat lax selection process. As you not suspected, the Forum will never officially recognize a traveller from another nation as a gleaner. Unofficially, however, we're up to our necks in requests as of late, and they're coming in faster than ever before. We'll take any talent we can get and pay good coin for it. So please, tell me if you're interested. Okay. Let's get back onto the main story quest. That was only 10 minutes, that wasn't too bad. So, I've already decided that we're going to do the Sharlayan bit first. That's the plan. So let's go talk to our comrades and have another drink of tea. Let's have a talk to actually all of our comrades, see if they have to say anything interesting to say. I still don't understand how the vote could be unanimous. What could possibly convince all of them to turn their back on Eorzea? If the Forum is intent on concealing its intentions, then a cursory investigation will avail us little, I suspect. We need to dig deeper, and with the greatest of care. With the process by which the Forum members are elected, is fair and equitable. Neither wealth nor societal standing offer any advantage to a prospective candidate. But fairly elected or not, Master Matoya still found them all to be insufferable. Master Matoya finds everyone to be insufferable, even you. And she cares a lot about you. Our tour of the city was a pleasant distraction. I feel more than ready now to tackle the challenges of the day. Okay, Kryl, let's get at this. Kryl is intent upon uncovering the reason behind the forum's inexplicable behaviour. An unsettling change has come over Sharlayan, but together we will divine the underlying cause for the forum's cautiousness. Callousness? As I mentioned before, however, questioning the councillors directly is a fruitless endeavour. They seem to have already come to a consensus as to what and how little they are willing to divulge. Excuse me. Which is why I began scouring Sharlayan's archives of historical records for any hints of a connection to the final days. Sufficient to say that progress has been slow. There are only so many dusty pages one can skim in a day. But now I have this band of willing reinforcements, the search should proceed all the swifter. Let us reconvene outside of the Nuamon. Exit the annex to the right, and you'll find the archive in the western edge of the woods. Interesting. Last time when you accepted one, it blocked off the other. This one it looks like you can quite happily accept both. But I imagine we're going to end up here anyway, so we'll do all of this and then we'll come back. Where are we heading? Teleporter will be slightly quicker, but only just. My directions were easy enough to follow, I hope. In any case, you stand now before the doors of the Nuamon, Sharlayan's greatest collection of books and tomes. This building is actually only an entrance, and one of many at that, for the archive of the Nuamon extends deep beneath the surface like roots of a tree. The vast halls of the great Gubal library pale in comparison to the Nuamon's endless maze of subterranean chambers. Any citizen of Sharlayan is free to enter and peruse its shelves. Well, most of its shelves. Only Archons are afforded access to certain restricted vaults. I've dispatched your Stola and Raha to investigate those. Meanwhile, Alizé and Alphonome will help me continue my search through the stacks that open to the general public. Your status presents more of a problem. As a non-citizen, you are only permitted to browse the first floor here at the entrance. Even so, there should be a number of books which touch upon Sharlayan history or the foreign policy. Your task will be to find and study the relevant publications. I promise you, a working knowledge of these subjects will make it far easier to spot the sort of clues we're looking for. Let us be about it, shall we? I told the others to meet us at the Stone's Breach over there. I imagine this thing over here, or rather this thing over here for my 21x9 friends. Over there, once you found some promising tomes. Happy reading. Find the highlighted books. How many are there? 3 of them. I see 1, 2, 3. Ooh, I see free experience. That's why I wanted to grab the sightseeing log. Specifically something like that. Sightseeing log right in main path. It's free experience, why wouldn't I? Brightly coloured books. Title reads Story of Sharlayan. Read the book. Long, long ago, an island in the northern sea, there lived a Rogodon man named unpronounceable Nancluf. Nancluf was a student of astrology. and he divined that a flood of terrifying proportion would soon sweep over the lands of Eorzea. It was so that he built a gigantic ship, assembled a crew, and set sail for that imperiled realm. The flood arrived as foretold, and their horror. Let me try that again. The flood arrived as foretold, and their horror, the strangely churning waves drove the people towards the ocean, and to their horror. That makes more sense. The two that I missed makes more sense. It was there, however, that Nancliff's crew hauled them aboard his ark, but the danger had not passed. A towering wave approached, threatening to smash the vessel into pieces. With only a moment to spare, Nancliff wove a mighty spell of teleportation and shifted the entire ship atop Alabar's spine. Refugees from the surrounding regions huddled alongside them, but it was not long before disruption over the dwindling supply of food led to violence and bloodshed. Saddened by the sight, Nancliff gathered his crew and his grateful passengers and abandoned the Ark to those reddened peaks. They journeyed to the coast where they built a new ship, intent upon returning to the northern seas. They landed on the beach of an island and settled upon that very spot. That settlement prospered and grew, and in time became the city of Sharlayan that we live in this day. So, I'd already known a little bit about the flood. I didn't know that it was related to this, or that particular flood. Oh wait, no, they said it went to the Albath's spine. And the ship appeared up here, but the ship I was thinking of is in Gilgira Banya, in the peaks. There! No, it is the one I'm thinking of. We need to go all the way out to the main map. I forget how you get there. There we go. Ah, I suppose it does. So this is the spine here. So this entire mountain range, which must include this section here. Quick drink of tea before we read this one. Roads of Old, the colony. Many years ago, on the banks of Thalak, in the Dravanian hinterlands, a Sharlayan colony once thrived. This settlement was originally established as a mere outpost to study the ethereal sea in the year 1311 of the 6th Astral Era. Scholars dispatched to Eorzea found the facilities wanting, and their demands encouraged a gradual expansion in structures and services. As rumours spread of growing communication or a growing community of academics, the area was further inundated with Eorzean students hoping to share in the renowned wisdom of the Sharlayans. 50 years later, the Forum passed a motion to recognise what had become a flourishing town as an official Sharlayan colony. Eorzean residents took up the calling the colony itself Sharlaya, which led to no small amount of confusion when discussions turned to the subject of the motherland. In response, some Sharlayan inhabitants, if pressed for a name, would simply refer to it as the Emporium. Following the Great Exodus, however, goblins and treasure hunters claimed for themselves a corner of the abandoned colony and gave it yet another name, Idashire. The following chapters go on introducing the most prominent features of Idashire. The book does not appear to contain any information on the Forum or cover the history of Sharlayan Motherland in greater detail. So that one doesn't count. There's one over there and one over there. Oh, there's two over here. Hopefully when I'm reading consistently, my What's the word? Now the word eludes me. God damn it! I had a sentence in my head, and that sentence is now entirely gone, filled with a question mark. What was the word I was thinking of saying? Enunciation. That's what I'm thinking of. I was thinking of a specific word that describes sort of like how or the clarity of someone's speech. But enunciation comes to mind. I don't think that's what I was thinking of. Pronunciation obviously related to specific words. But regardless, hopefully when I'm reading clearly, it's easy to understand. During the chaos of the Sixth Umbral Calamity, Archon Nancliffe, founder of Sharlayan, bore witness to the madness and savagery of men brought to the brink of despair. Upon raising a settlement on an island in the northern Empty, he instructed his people thus: renounce the ways of war and pursue enlightenment through knowledge and reason. The Sharlayans took to heart the words of their saviour, and therefore served as stewards of wisdom. Upon a foundation of accumulated learning, they built a homeland unlike any other, a nation born from strength of mind rather than strength of arms. With knowledge of economy came shrewd trading. With knowledge of agriculture came bountiful crops. Engineering brought wells and sewers, ending squabbles over water. Wealth of expertise could be bartered for wealth of coin or wealth in coin, and the more their wisdom spread throughout the world, the more mankind as a whole would thrive. That's interesting. And so it was that no matter the trials and tribulations of the age, the citizens of Sharlayan would live by their founder's teaching. For the sake of a better tomorrow, for the sake of a brighter star, they would enshrue the tools of war, and with knowledge deliver the world. So that's interesting. The implication of that is that Sharlayan was founded with the notion of sharing the knowledge, not keeping it to themselves. Okay, there's another bookshelf over there. So 2 of these are only going to be slightly relevant. My beloved seeker of knowledge, have you ever put learning before your health and neglected to feed the rest of your body as you should? Why do I get the feeling this is going to go on about the Archon Loaf? I, too, once engaged in such foolish practices, but one night, engrossed in philosophical study, I had an epiphany. For all the world's mysteries that drive us to reckless abandon, we have so few years left in our lives to achieve our goals. Thus, I do share with you this mantra. I am forever 20 summers young. The number itself is unimportant. You could be 19 or 23 or 40. Whatever age you are when you discover this manual, let that be the age you aspire to remain. Through mindful, healthy living, you will extend time available to spending upon your chosen research. Another day, another moon, another summer to grasp the greater truths you pursue. In the pages that follow, we will explore the secrets of maintaining one's physiological condition from a biological, ethereological, and arcane viewpoint. This book is on the wrong subject. Search for works which contain details in the forum. That's not what I thought it was going to be, but it was just as pointless anyway. Although the mindset is not a bad one. Introduction to the Heavens. Probably not this one either. Have you ever gazed at the skies above and contemplated the mysteries contained therein? I speak not of the shifting cloud patterns, but of the vastness beyond, of the sun and the twinkling tapestry of the night. Some think of the dome above us to be an infinite or to be a finite space. Yet, among the leading thinkers of our age, one scholar depicts the boundless sea of stars as firmly taken root. Alas, these heavenly seas remain as unreachable, unknowable destination. There are few indeed who can explain, in satisfactory detail, why our star is believed to revolve around the sun. Because star is planets in this world. It was the technologicalists of Alec who came closest to understanding the laws which govern that starry abyss. It was they who launched Dalamud and sought to expand beyond our earthbound existence. Having read their ancient ambitions, I wonder, has your intent in this field of study waxed or waned? What if I were to tell you that the eternal constellations were arranged differently in the past, that their positions continue to shift, almost imperceptibly, but measurable as we journey into the future? Would it shock you to learn that the stars drift further and further apart, and may indeed do so forever? Are you eager to learn more? This book is on the wrong subject. Search for works which contain details in the form. It is strange that my character got that far into the book to realise, okay, yeah, this isn't really useful. Voice of a growing city, this makes sense. In the years which followed the founding of Sharlayan, civic policy and other matters of import were decided at Excelsior, a public forum at which every citizen was eligible to speak. As the city's population grew, however, this format became increasingly impractical. The larger number of participants gave rise to ever longer debates, resulting in significant delays of vital resolutions. Various measures were introduced in an attempt to curtail protracted discussions, but in the year 201 of the 6th Astral Era, it was ultimately decreed that Sharlayan would transition to a new form of governance. The nation would now be led by a body of 99 members, citizens chosen from among their peers by means of a nationwide vote. Thus was the Forum, as we know it, today conceived and created. You have gained a fundamental understanding of Sharlayan history and the foundations of the Forum. Head to the outside rendezvous. Let us go. She's in here somewhere. There it is. Can we not stand on the destination marker, please? Stand around the destination marker, looking at the destination marker. Sorry, were you waiting long? I wanted to make sure I borrowed at least a few promising volumes. Alphino and Kryl should be along shortly. I was delayed in a similar fashion. As far as I could see, no titles in the Archon stacks mentioned the final days specifically, so we had no choice but to start with tangentially related tomes, if they are even that. At present, the plan is to skim through as quick as we dare, to share our discoveries as we make them. It would be nice to invite everyone. It would have been nice to invite everyone to the estate. Plenty of comfortable places to read, and ready supply of hot tea. I was always quite fond of reading outside, but that's not about the. But it's not about little pleasures, is it? You miss your home. It's been difficult. Our arrival, we managed to speak with one of the family servants and asked how things were. It seems our dear father has instructed the staff that even if Alphino and I were to return to Sharlayan, we're not to be allowed across the threshold. A harsh measure, indeed. I hope our efforts in understanding his position and that of the Forum will perhaps lead to a reconciliation. We'll mend this rift one day, I'm certain of it. And what of you, Graha? Have you been to visit your family, or do they not live here in the city? Ah, well, my situation is also somewhat complicated. I was raised in Sharlayan, yes, but I was born rather far further away. In the southern reaches of Ilsabard, in fact. For generations, my people have dwelled in Kovets, the coastal Korvos, the coastal region opposite the island of Vavnir. The Alligans founded a city in that fertile land, and by ship brought the subjugated tribes of the Mkoti to serve as labourers. Of course, the massive earthquake of the Fourth Umbral Calamity brought an end to the Empire's reign, and when the Fifth Calamity froze the sea solid, many of the tribes still living in Korvos braved the journey back to Eorzea. My ancestors, however, chose to remain. That they might prevent the remains of Allagan technology from being misused. We're going there. Is that where the airship is? Or rather the spaceship? Is that where our flying domino is? Isn't Korvos under Garlean rule? For the past 50 years, yes. Some semblance of local culture remains, as in the case for most imperial provinces, but Garlemald renamed the region Loch Animos. When I was a boy, a town nearby came under the jurisdiction of an illustrious imperial family, the noble house of Darnus. Oh, Darnus. That's Sid's family, isn't it? House Darnus demonstrated a singular interest in Allagan civilization, and so my tribe was forced to consider a plan of action. For some time already, voices had been raised in favour of abandonment of our ancient customs. After all, the Allagan Eye no longer passed to our eldest children as reliably as it once had. Fear of discovery eventually tipped the scales, and a decision was made to bury our ties with the knowledge and the traditions of Allig. As the last-born child with the Allagan Eye, I was given over to the custody of friends in the students of Baldessian, who had me registered as a Sharlayan citizen. I never even considered. Forgive me, that was an unkind question. Even Thancred was taken to action by Archon Louis Wise, was he not? Stories of adept. My head knows that word, but I don't know how to pronounce it. Whelps? And rescued orphans are more common among Sharlayans than you might think. Yet, regardless of our origins, we are all provided with an equal opportunity to learn, and with sufficient... God damn it. This is proof that I've been doing this too long today. Again, I know the word, but the word's pronunciation doesn't come to mind. Do you ever get that feeling? Persistence. That's actually not persistence. So maybe it's not what I think it is. Persipacy? I don't know. Maybe that's not a word I recognise, and that's why my mind blanks on it. We outsiders can even earn the vaulted title of Archon. It is exactly why I have such a love for this country, and why I wish it to remain as a nation of which citizens can be proud. Here, another good reason to get at the bottom of the fallen's stubbornness, aside from the trifling matter of our impending doom. Excuse us, while we try to make some headway into these books, Nathan, more company should be arriving any moment now. Let us wait at the destination again. Everyone's minions spawn in simultaneously. We've returned with our selections. Although I must say, the pickings were quite slim indeed. Mistress Krile has already flicked through every history book devoted to disasters, and more than a few which barely make mention of them. As such, we'll be looking into research papers on the Umbral calamities, as well as articles written by prominent forum members. Perhaps their knowledge of the final days comes from an unexpected source. Speaking of which, I might ask you a few questions related to the final days. I'm the only one here that didn't witness the events of Amarot firsthand, and I fear I may be overlooking critical details. My thanks. Now, where to begin? First things first, what kind of phenomenon did the ancients encounter as the final days drew nigh? I think it's this one. Primals didn't exist yet. They summoned primals to try and fix it. In the time leading up to it, there was a complete destabilization of creation magics. Yes, the unfolding catastrophe wrought havoc on all manner of life. The chaos extended to the ancients themselves, causing their powers of creation to spiral out of control. Fear and despair manifested in terrible, tangible fashion. Meteors raining from the sky, fires erupting from the ground, indescribable abominations prowling the street. That more or less aligns with my understandings. If only the arts of creations had survived until present day, we might have something substantial to analyse. We basically do. Primal summoning. To the best of our knowledge, however, those techniques were not preserved or passed on. Your scholars surmise that the closest known magic to that is that of primal or summoning rituals. Let me try again. Your scholars surmise the closest known magics is that of the summoning rituals promulgated by the Ascients. Was there aught else of note which heralded the approach of the ending days? It wasn't all at once. I think it's this, but I can't remember where. I can't remember where I heard that. Yes. The Amarotians spoke of it, didn't they? We never did hear this sound ourselves, of course, thrust as we were into the midst of madness. But it seems like each and every one of the catastrophes was preceded by an ominous note. Eventually it resounded all across the star. Not even Amarot was spared. So the ground was crying out, you say? To be considered the harbinger of doom, it must have been quite distinctive and probably quite loud. I'll have to speak with one of the Nuamon's mammoths and ask after any book which makes mention of such a sound. Last but not least, would you describe how the ancients sought to quell this unprecedented calamity? What definitive action did they take? They summoned Zodiac. Yes, with Elidibus serving as his heart, so many gave themselves in sacrifice to bring him into being. We do not know exactly how Zodiac brought salvation to the star, only that by his godlike will were the laws of nature set aright. Then, once balance was redressed, the ancients offered up further sacrifice to heal the ravages of the final day. life sprouted anew, and it was these fledgling souls that intended to render unto Zodiac a trade that would have allowed them to resurrect the shades of loved ones once absorbed by the primal. Or might have, had Vanat and her followers not manifested their opposition in the form of Hydaelyn. Thank you, both of you, for the detailed review. I feel much more confident now about my understanding of events. With all that freshly in mind, it does make me wonder what the Telophoroi truly mean when they speak of bringing back the final days. We've seen what they're doing with these towers of theirs. It's forcing people to summon primals of a kind of catalyst. They are attempting to mirror the conditions caused by unstable creation magics. Or are they simply using the final days as a figure of speech? A convenient metaphor for the scale of destruction they plan to unleash. Sighs, but this is all pointless conjecture at this stage. Let us return our attention to the forum, shall we? We should keep an eye out for your Stola, but it is time we begin studying these research papers. Am I the last? Oh, I'm the last, am I? Well, my extended search of the Archon stacks produced one or two possibly useful books, but I won't get your hopes up. If you recall, Urianji learned of the source's reflections from the Gunrun oracles. For its potential to cause panic and confusion, that tome was deemed apocrypha and sealed away in the Great Gubu Library. It is even less likely that the knowledge of unsundered worlds, not to mention the horrors of the final days, will be left sitting on the shelves for any curious scholar to find. It stands to reason that my colleagues, be they Archons or Councillors, should perforce by largely ignorant. Let's try this again. It stands to reason that my colleagues, be they Archons or Councillors, should perforce be largely ignorant of the subject. Yet when you confronted Master... I just heard this goddamn name. Fortuno. Something like that. It's something really short for that real long bit. With knowledge of the Telophoroi and their machinations. He scoffed at the suggestion that they posed a threat. He seemed adamant that the Forum would know the final days were truly upon us. Which only supports the conclusion that whatever privileged wisdom is guiding the Forum's behaviour is being kept secret from the rest of the nation. Not that I mean to excuse myself from reading duty, whether they contain mentions of the final days or no, these books could yet hold something of value. If you were thinking of you weren't thinking of leaving, were you? There's plenty of work for everyone. You labour for what feels like an age as your Stola's research assistant. Sounds about right. I've found naught of interest so far. I think your Stola might be right about not getting our hopes up. ... Oh, what's that say? Your efforts to gain Gra's attention go unnoticed. He appears to be lost in his reading. Ah, she's given up. Thank you for your help, but I think I can manage the rest without your assistance. If I were you, I'd steal quite a few moments for myself. Oh dear, you look exhausted. But what about your studies? Were you able to find any books on subjects I mentioned? Then the day was well spent. Should you wish to read them again, a mammoth at the reference desk will point you in the right direction. For the moment, though, I suggest you take a well-deserved rest. We might be occupied with our research for quite some time. Alrighty then. Can we get the building in shot? Let's get the building in shot. Let's go this way on. So yeah, we'll call it there for the day. I don't think I'm going to get another episode or another quest in without it getting to way beyond an hour. I don't even know how long last episode is going to be, given that I'm going to have to splice it all together. So we'll leave it there. It'll give me a chance to get my voice a vest. It'll give me a chance to get my voice a vest and to get these 2 episodes edited, encoding. Hopefully I can get them encoded so I can upload them tonight. Or I'll upload episode 1 tonight and then get up episode 2 uploaded tomorrow. We'll see. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show, and hopefully I will see you next time. Goodbye.